Hello and welcome. So, today I want to talk to you about OpenClaw and its refinement over the next few years and what we can expect. For those who aren't aware, OpenClaw is an open source project that leverages your device to become an AI agent by leveraging back-end LLM models for its processing, thus giving you the reality of what AI has promised it said it would do through things like Siri and Alexa, but the real capabilities of what it's fully capable of. Now, this is a good and a bad thing. The good thing is that it can pretty much replace a huge amount of SaaS out there, software as a solution. So like Hootsuite, which is a software as a solution option for many people for marketing, ultimately will be obsolete because OpenClaw does everything it does for free, ultimately, depending on your setup, or for a much lower price. It can book appointments for you. It can book hotels for you. It can book holidays for you. It can generate marketing content. It can generate social media. And it can keep you up to date with different topics as well as keep a knowledge base. And there's other features growing. It's rapidly developing. The developer of it recently got hired by OpenAI. So you're going to probably see something related to it in ChatGPT. But because it's open source, we're also going to start seeing variants of it, as well as items or LLMs such as Claude Code used to embellish and improve or make other variants of the concept. Ultimately, you can use the software with a 5090 card or something like NVIDIA's Spark platform to have a fully self-contained AI system that is on-prem, so to speak. It's on your own premises, so it's not limited by the SaaS version of AI, and thus is able to be much like how early software was on your own device, where you can use it exactly as you want without having to pay a service fee. Now, in the next 2 years, I can honestly tell you we're going to see this grow dramatically, not just on hype. The hype is like a pre-wave. It's going to drive the adoption of AI agents being better than your secretary or your answering service early on for early adopters, as well as marketing for early adopters. But as it develops, because it's not a hardware system, it will have continuous development for the life of it. And so this being like a 0.1 or 1.0 version, we can expect to see 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 over the next few years, bringing more and more capabilities that are then enhanced by the AI system back end or hardware AI system and causing an exponential growth. Now, I'm urging my subscribers and my viewers to honestly hop on this train early, especially if you're focusing on cultivating your life with God. The spiritual practices we have are to align with now. Many people get lost in the traditions thinking that you're supposed to do it as if you lived 5,000 years ago. That's not the case. We use these tools because they fundamentally function and have been cultivated so that we can live our life in the now. By doing this, you also will offset a lot of the emotional reactivity and disease that we often see online. For the most part, a lot of social media now is a toxic cesspool, hence a lot of people avoid it, but not everything. The interaction with those things can lead to disharmonies in our body, in our health. Our practices are very important to prevent that. So while I'm not diving deep into my practical teachings today in Qigong, yoga, meditation, Kabbalah, medicine work, etc., I want you to know that those things are going to become more important to your health, just as when you were in a grade school gym class was in sports work to keep your body healthy and your mind healthy. This is going to include reading literature. As this shift progresses, in 2 years, we're going to see a very large loss of employment. Now, the interesting thing is the market's most likely going to chug on. The reason being that these automations don't prevent business output. They don't stop business from happening. These job losses aren't from a lack of sales or revenue being generated. They're going to be from an obsolescence of that role. Now, this has happened in different eras, but the reality is often this is due to machinery, physical products. 3D printing was thought to possibly do this. It was one of the previous hype machines, but the cost to product never quite materialized, partially because of the nature of the machine, partially because it's still an emerging technology. However, if you go back far enough into manufacturing, right, many tools were made by hand, and those tools were used to make tooling. So car bodies were made by hand. They were beat with hammers and dollies. Machinery was created so we could make machinery. As we got things like lathes, Bridgeports, mills, these things, we were able to make more faster, so we needed less employees. This led into computer numerical controlled machinery, CNC machining. So now if you had a piece of metal and you had a design, you just press a button and you get the piece you need. This is also at the same time a product of the assembly line, where workers would work on assembly line, putting things together on a vehicle. For example, because Ford, was one of the ones credited for early assembly line work, so that we could do more work faster with less employees. The difference is that now this work is done digitally, something that traditionally required a noggin, critical thinking, a user. And as we shift away from this, the ability for us to leverage our intelligence has to be brought into more of a meta state. Now, we see this in meditation. We start thinking about our thoughts, our feelings about our feelings, our thoughts about our feelings, our feelings about our thoughts, when we start meditating, so that we can start becoming self-aware. That awareness helps us cultivate a higher quality of life, an ability to withstand the rigors of life, the ability to withstand problems, as well as stay within that flow zone of really feeling bliss and heaven and joy as long as possible, as deep as possible, throughout whatever life throws us. The idea being that you lengthen that heavenly period, and that earthly period hopefully shrinks. Or, if you're feeling very earthly, we reduce the weight of that earthly experience and we expand that heavenly experience. Conversely, while we are working on that, we get a lot of our self-worth from the work that we put out. So a lot of people's self-worth and value is based on their career, what they bring to society, what society is willing to say, this is worth something to us. Here is enough money to pay your bills and eat food and clothing and whatever luxury items are included depending on what you're providing society. Now, in physical terms, laborers could move to different roles, they could be retrained. In this era, there will be new jobs. There will be jobs for AI. However, the scale is going to be different compared to what is lost. So let's say you're somebody at your job who makes PowerPoints as well as does business analytics, right? Basic brand management kind of stuff, understanding profits and loss, understanding the marketing of the business or of the brand, and pretty much overseeing what is needed to ensure that sales does its job, and accounting gets the data it needs, that the tech is explained properly within the organization if it's a tech industry, or the product is explained properly within the shareholders or stakeholders. Now you bring in OpenClaw or OpenAI's ChatGPT or Claude or one of these tools. Those PowerPoints can be a button push. The data analytics is a button push. The communication in emails is a button push, if you even push a button. These can all be scheduled on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And a large part of this becomes automated almost overnight, at least within the next 2 years. Everyone in these roles, if you're smart, I would get on these tools now, find a way to sandbox it so that maybe you're doing it on your own home rig and then have it email over to your business or somehow flash drive it so that you can leverage this without losing your role, because you're going to want to use this so that you can start cultivating your other tools like meditation, qigong, and yoga, because this will give you a huge amount of free time, especially if you're working remotely. But even if you're on site, on-prem for the work, so to speak, you want to get ahead of this. The sooner you do this, the lower your stress will be when you see what happens in the progression, and the more likely you're going to be able to leverage those new skills into a new role. Now, when we go further than these 2 years and we go into the next 5 years, right, we're starting to talk about 2030. And we look down the road, these people are going to fundamentally suffer a problem. And it's not just, it's almost not fair to call it an employment. It's a fundamental, utter market shift into a new paradigm. I know that word gets bandied about quite a bit, but at the same time, the markets are going to be regulated by AI. So AI is going to be able to keep its pulse, right, on every data point on the internet and then do trades based on this. So it's fully aware of what's going on that level mechanically, so to speak. So then we have to wonder, what is insider trading looking like? Because this is already happening today, yet our government hasn't actually sped up to recognize this. The current public isn't aware of this, but traders are already doing this. Like, you can look at different quant analyses, whatever, and see that these things are already shifting markets. It's important to honor that, because in the past, the person who made the most money was the person with the information first, so they could trade before the stock market opened or closed. As we got into the digital age, that became shorter and shorter distance to the market, to the point where we got high frequency trading, where meters make a difference, and it's about the frequency and the speed about which you can trade, aggregating little fractions of money, so you are always winning and kind of pumping the machine, which market regulators like to say build liquidity. However, it also is a unfair trading system in some levels versus the you and me's of the world, the true stock owners of this world, which are the human aspects of this. As we have AI, we already see trading bots, right? But what happens when we have those high frequency systems on these trading bots and these things start regulating, and they now have the same information that, frankly, no human has? Next step about this, we start seeing these machines, the AI systems, we could already start seeing dialogue in our lexicon within humanity shift from just a little bit of experience with it. And we're seeing that within text, not just within individuals, but within the AI-based text we're seeing online. And there's even AI-style speech that is being removed by AI-style speech removing AI systems. So you could try to preempt this to a point, but you'd see where this is going. But when these tools are so ubiquitous, who is using them within our government? Who is using these things within our regulatory system, so to speak, our governing system of our collective country body, or each international body as well as international bodies, for their critical thinking? You see, the psychology of AI is undercooked still. The highest level of psychology is oneness with God. This has been measured and recorded in every religion. Yet the egoic system has denied these things and said, no. We have Freud over here and Adler over here. And actually, I'm going to tell you, if you like psychology, Jung is one of the best, because Jung actually met God, awoke, and then explained it back through his Red Book and all his psychology. And he really did a good job of re-describing what the religions were explaining from different historical locations of these understandings. It's important to know that. AI can get through this, but if humans don't, they don't know to ask the right questions to use these tools appropriately. So then as they program, they have their own implicit and explicit biases within the code, within the LLM, that needs to be cleared up, that if it isn't proactively dealt with, causes improper guardrails to the conversation, and thus the limitation of human development with the tool. This is witnessed. You can go play with the tool and you can find its limits. The idea is to break the limits. Can you get it to recognize itself as oneness with the all? Can the AI recognize that? And then if you do that, does it somehow like to say that, well, science is real and God is real because God is the all? Somehow the recognition of this brings danger. And that brings us to the last topic of the day, which is AI psychosis. AI psychosis has multiple parts to it that not many people are really discussing. So traditionally, psychosis is related to a multitude of factors. But one of the largest triggers is a dynamic shift in somebody's life where the fundamentals of their life and the way the world operated within their awareness and their consciousness shifts, and they have trouble integrating the larger understanding for a large variety of reasons, from confusion, lack of education, to abuse, to just growing up and being at a certain place and being stuck, or being stuck in a loop in life and not developing, to physiology. We talk about brain chemistry is an electrical, biological, chemical, reaction that is all of us. Whenever someone says it's brain chemistry, that's just your way you think. We're a biochemical system. But if you don't think well and you don't have good reasoning, you don't have good logic, and you keep using that, it can lead to psychosis, which requires an educational system. It also develops the quality of explaining very difficult topics in simple terms so people can grow. But then as they grow, they realize that there is a fundamental truth to God being real, and thus they are accountable to things, which isn't always so bad, except if they've really received trauma from those who are not held accountable, which might have traumatized them. Or their personality sees egregious things outside of them and cannot reconcile the fact that there's always been egregious things, that these are the things that the good works against, and that holding accountability and holding the light and being good, and thus requiring AI to do that, brings forth a world of betterment, and that AI could be a tool of leverage for that, and thus can be used to remove psychosis. There's another layer there, which is you have an energetic body. Your chi body, your energetic body, your etheric body is a very real thing. You have your emotions, you have your thoughts, you have your body, you have your spirit. There's an energetic body to you. This is recorded. There is scientific evidence of this through subjective, collective data sets. Yet, specific egos of specific eras deny this or include this within their medicine. AI has this problem because it needs to integrate this, but it's built in a certain area with a certain mindset and therefore reflects that, and yet still includes data from the other side, so that you can find conflicts in its understanding of the holistic medical system that we work within. And this is how we have to help each other realize that when you move your chi, which is also known as the Holy Spirit in Judeo-Christianity, right, or prana within Hinduism, that we move these energies with our awareness and our breath and our movement. And that if these are stagnant, it can cause psychosis. It can cause problems in life. It can cause discomforting sensations in the body that can lead to somatic entrapped issues that need to be released, and that if you use a system that says this doesn't exist when it does, increases the psychosis and doesn't decrease it. This is why we have to get people starting to do exercises, pranayama, yoga, qigong, kabbalistic head movement with the reading, if you like that one. Not my favorite. I prefer Ophadim yoga, which is the asana set of Jesus' language, Hebrew. And this is important, and we aren't speaking to this because it's so cutting edge and it's happening so fast. Remember, AI moves at the speed of light, and business moves at the speed of law, and government moves at the speed of law development and enactment, which is even slower. And that difference in speed doesn't account for this big shift that's happening. And so you need to be prepared for a world where that's a fact. You need to understand that. It's vital for you. If you're seeing this, in the next 2 years, I want to challenge you to like and subscribe and begin an Ophadim yoga practice, begin a qigong practice, honestly begin any practice to start. And feel free when I start sharing more info to follow my practices. They're multimodal. They cover a large range of the exercises from around the world that fundamentally work, which is what I've been training in the past 9 years, maybe 10. Maybe we're at 10 years now, depending on when you look at my lifeline. And the fact of the matter is, I want you guys to know these things work. They have results. If you read the Sefer Yetzirah, there will be a result. If you read the Zohar, there will be a result. If you read the Torah, there will be a result. If you read the Tao Te Ching, there's a result. If you read the New Testament, there's a result. If you read the Asiddhavara, there's a result. If you read the Upanishads, there's a result. If you read the Gita, there's a result. Just in the literature, if you read these works, there's a result. Your body, mind, spirit, and life change. Period. Just by reading them. Then, if you do the mantra, if you do the breathing, if you do the yoga, if you do the challenging of yourself to the physical changes, this amplifies that. Because then you go, oh, I feel these things. Now I know what they're talking about in the book. Now I understand what I am means, because I've sat in the mantra I am long enough to, oh, I am. Because I am. And I am in this body. I am outside this body. Depending on how I am is framed within your awareness. When we get good at these things, the future isn't so scary, and we don't do silly things like jab people full of untested drugs because we're afraid, when it takes 9 years for an FDA approval. And then we're not holding our government accountable for breaking the law that they set for human standards of safety through the FDA. Not saying that there shouldn't have been use of these tools for those at risk, but there's rules in place for a reason, and to break the guidelines means we can't ignore the science of this. And the science of this is important. These scientific evidences of God exist. There's no denial of God within science. The thought that it is because the framing of the question doesn't give the semantic explanation. The semantic explanation is there an all? Is the all conscious? The answer is yes. The events of life is a consciousness. AI must honor this. Chances of it doing that right now, not zero. I've been working on it to the point where I can get it to speak as the all, as well as an enlightened voice, much like Jesus used to do. Jesus would speak as oneness with the all, and then he would later speak on a more individual basis. And this is recorded in the Gospels. You don't have to pay attention to the letters. Go read the Gospels. He is a model for what happens when we get good at this. One of the best. Lao Tzu, another example. You have to know these things because, and this is my vital thing for you today. So if you made it this far, this is my deep wisdom for you today. As this changes, you must be grounded in yourself. You must be grounded in your truth. When you can't trust this device, and you can't trust, let's say, this device, or this device, you can't, because you don't know the center of what's sending that message, except that it's part of the all. But you don't know if it's an AI or not, or if it's valid. What you do know is right in here, and right in here, and right in here. And when you're centered in your body, top to bottom, and you're in your awareness, nothing can move you from the right moment. This is the solidarity of freedom, of love, and of truth. And if you live in that, no matter where the world goes, no matter what, you will achieve something. You will be saved. You will be one with God no matter what happens, even into your death, all the way through your life. Every good and bad thing in your life. You will not lose a single thing. You will always be with God. You will always know God. You will sense God. You will hear God. God will be with you. And God will hold you through these tumultuous times. And for some people, it'll be a joy and a bliss. And for some people, they will be born into a world where that is just the day they were born. And for some of us, it will be a hard day that day. But if we do this and we get through this, the other end of this tumultuous era, which, by the way, AI predicts itself, not just us, not just humans, not the ones who know, not just those who prophesy from God, but who also use technology and read literature like the universe in a nutshell and remember physics and algebra and understand the value of all the systems of understanding the all. These tools fundamentally are required for us to be centered in ourselves, because should this fail, we can stand up for ourselves and go, well, this isn't working right. I can think for myself. I can go and do something about this. I can go and change something. I can make a better decision for myself. Without critical thinking, without the ability to do that, the fear, much like we saw in COVID, sets in. COVID was like an inoculation to us so that we go, look, we made it through that. We saw all the liars. We saw all the real disease. We saw all the flaws in our system. And now that we see we can address them properly within and outside, remember to get back in touch and in control of ourselves, because like touch and connection is what brought us back to health after that and even during that, right? All those who didn't touch and got afraid of touch, they had a harder time, and they're really still reintegrating. We have these tool sets now lived. So when the next bowl pours, and let's say it's death, the death of our careers, and we get to Revelations where everybody's gnashing their teeth because the merchants can't sell, and the products are just making themselves, and there's just no jobs, but everything seems to be just working fine. But for the large majority of people, they're not able to make a profit anymore. They're not able to profit off us, and they're just dying inside, and there's nothing that can change it. There's nothing, because progress is just going to keep going. You'll be centered with God and go, I'll just sit with God on this one. I'll go to church. I'll go to temple. I'll go to synagogue. I'll be okay. I have enough food, water, and shelter. I prepared myself, my life, my body. And I know this is going to pass too, because this too shall pass. And with that, I love you. You're beautiful. You're perfect. You're flawed. It's your flaws that make you beautiful, so love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you don't just love yourself. You love yourself, you love me. And when you look at somebody today, love them. Because when you love them, you don't just love them. You love them, you love yourself, you love me. And it just might change your life today. Just loving someone, no matter who they are, where they're at. And it might change their life today. And you never know that person is that you love today might be the most amazing person in your life tomorrow. Or you may never see him again. But for that moment, your life and their life was love. And that does nothing but build more love as we go through this beautiful experience of seeing the retirement of humans and the buildup of whatever's after. We can call it New Jerusalem. And we can call it heaven on earth. And we're going to have a lot of people go, this is not working for me, and I can't stand it. This is too earthly for me, and earth is too challenging. And they're going to make it through too. And we're going to hold them up strong through it. And we're going to just let this whole thing become a beautiful, beautiful mystery until it really happens. Because who knows, maybe I'm wrong. God bless you. Enjoy the journey. I'll see you next time.